It's New Brew Thursday! Woo! And look who's back. It's Dave.
Hey, I'm back.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
On.
And you know, as you saw the last time with a 41% beer,
Yes.
nothing is ever minor with Dave. So we're not doing one Australian beer. We're not even doing two Australian beers. We're doing five freaking Australian beers.
And they're not at 41.
How much would you pay for all these Australian beers? Don't answer yet. No. So the first one, we're gonna have to just barrel through these. So we have no time to get reacquainted with you whatsoever. Although
Absolutely.
I do want to hassle you about your Heineken shirt.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
It's
craft
brand
beer,
new. It's
dude.
the first
not
time
craft
out.
beer. It's not craft beer.
It's not craft beer.
No, I don't know what this is. Explain this,
is
because
this?
I
It looks like
Well, if you read the words,
If I couldn't read, it'd be Heineken.
it says,
Exactly. It's like
as a craft beer drinker, read the motto.
think global.
Global, drink local.
Is that not craft beer?
Yo,
Yeah.
Vietnam! Woo!
Way to switch the label upon itself.
Absolutely. Well, it's Asian. Everything is taken apart in Asia and everything's copied and that sort of stuff. So this is the first outing for it. So come on, look, it's
Alright.
pristine.
It's beautiful.
It's a bit wrinkled, but it's wrinkled because that's part of the muling process that wraps beer.
You live in a cockpit.
Yeah. Well, it does. There's about 5 bottles wrapped in this.
There's a joke
Craft
in there
See?
somewhere.
Yes, that's right.
All right. So
I'll take
anyway,
about 3 counts if you want.
Heineken shirt acting as a mule for craft beer.
Absolutely.
The ultimate.
Yes.
It's not really a Heineken shirt,
Yeah.
is it?
Well, I know, Steve. Come on.
No.
It's
No,
not
it's
even
a
a real Heineken
by
shirt.
Hoy.
It's a
He's so
logo.
horny. We
Sorry,
love you
how
long
do you say
time. I'm pouring beer, so somebody talk about what I'm pouring here now.
Okay. 5 different beers. I try to bring up 5 different beers from Australia that signify something that you can't get here in America. So each of these beers is here for a different reason.
Sorry, dude.
I like how I saw it, in your mind, you were like, oh, this will just... Okay. I should say something, but I'm not.
I'm not gonna.
So this one here is the differentiating thing on this thing is it has Galaxy hops.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, a Galaxy hop is something that is brewed in a lot of Australian beers. But from my knowledge, and I could be wrong, I don't know enough about your scene up here, is that you don't see it. Do you see it? Is it prevalent or?
I've never heard of it.
Heard of Galaxy.
And the little bit of research that I did on it indicated that there's a lot of questions of has anybody ever brewed with this beer before? So
You mean with a hop before?
yeah, with the Galaxy.
Right.
Yeah. So it's it doesn't seem like it's real prevalent around here.
Yeah. So that's why I thought I'd just come up and bring you something that's
It's got a great aroma.
different
Yeah, it
taste.
does.
Yeah, the aroma's
Very
fantastic on
sweet,
it.
For how
citrusy
light it
aroma.
is? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, this is, like a classic sessionable summer ale for Australian
this is
summer.
great.
And this
Session
is called
beer.
their Pacific Ale, and it
called
used to
the
be called the Draught Ale.
Draught Ale.
right?
Yeah, the reason it was called the Draught Ale was because this beer comes out of a brewery in a place called Byron Bay. Now, Byron Bay is a very small town. It's probably about 8 or 9 hours drive north of Sydney. It's a couple of hours drive from Brisbane, so it's on the north coast of the state of New South Wales. They don't produce a lot of beer, so they're only just infancy, which is like the whole of the Australian craft beer scene. However, when they first started doing this, it was only on tap, right? But they had such good reception to it that they caved in and they bottled it. And because it was sort of a secondary idea to bottle it, they called it the Draught Ale. And that was
Okay.
where the Draught Ale came. But it was only a couple.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was only just before Christmas.
Well, yeah, because when I read the label, I was like, don't all bottlers take it straight from the tanks? They're like, we call it draft ale because we take it straight from the tanks. I'm like, everyone does that.
Yeah,
Where else would you take it from?
You didn't quite put 2 and 2 together.
Right. That it was
The whole
only draft
story.
beer for a while. So
Right.
yeah.
That makes sense.
So the flavour you get out of that, it's just a very light beer. That, they say it's unfiltered, which by Australian standards, historically by Australian standards, that's completely different.
Yeah, it's got a nice haze to it.
Right? All our original beers, you guys call them macros, I believe. We tend to have different words for them. We call them mega swills and all sorts of different things.
Mega swill.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they were not. They were just clear. There was no.
Okay.
So that's a bit different for the Australian market.
Right on.
So this is a beer I would at home, sit down in a park or by the beach or at home. And
Yeah.
You just drink.
This definitely
loads
has
of the stuff.
such a huge citrus note on it that it almost get not a lemonade flavor, but
grapefruit?
like a grapefruit juice flavor.
Yeah.
Because when I was deciding what beers to bring up to you, I reckon my brain long and hard as to what to bring you to try and give you something different. So, can you liken that to anything up here you've had before, or in terms of the citrusy side of things? And what would you
Nothing as light as that.
Yeah,
It's very light and malty to me.
What about that San Diego session now? But
If it had no hops in it.
yeah, less hops, more.
Yeah, this is definitely
drinkable.
Because I mean, you can taste the hops in this, but they're not bittering hops. They're a very sweet, like aromatic hop that's being used.
This would be a great intro beer to someone who doesn't like the bitterness in beer.
Right.
You know.
And that's what you got to also, what you say, Brad's right, because these people are trying to introduce people to the craft beer scene,
Right.
which you know is, as I said, it's in the infancy, so they can't get too extreme, you know.
Right.
Otherwise, they're not going to have something. But this
No,
is
it's way better than Foster's.
very well received at home,
So,
and off the tap, it's a fantastic beer.
this was Stone and Wood. It was very delicious.
good beer.
And now we're going to move on to Punk Monk.
So this beer, I guess, is a blend of 3 different Belgian beers.
This is pretty much a brand new beer. This was only I picked it up from the brewery the day it was released, which by memory was Boxing Day. So the day after Christmas.
Oh.
And it's a brand new style for them. This brewery, Murray's, is probably one that I probably am most familiar with, only because of the fact that it is a couple of hours drive from Sydney, so it's reasonably accessible for me, which is where I come from. And they've been this year, which has been great for us. They've been doing, they've got their staple beers, but they've been doing a different beer pretty much each month, and different styles. So this is the last one for them of the year, and
It's very spicy.
yeah, I can't put my finger on exactly what I'm getting out of it yet.
Some pepper, maybe even some like rosemary thyme kind of flavor to it.
Like it's definitely true to the Belgian style.
I was gonna say it's definitely a Belgian.
Yeah.
But it's not like a Belgian triple. It's not a saison. It's not.
Yep.
It's too malty for a saison. It's too spicy for a triple. I see what they did there. They went and blended all those styles together. It's interesting.
Like as I said, and that's what it is. It makes you think about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and to have a beer like that in the Australian market is, that's great, because for having a brewery that's going to push and do some different stuff, is good.
This is
That's
very
exactly
punk
what it is,
rock.
isn't it? The first time you drink, you go, what is that?
You take a Belgian monk and you turn him into a punk rocker, and this is what you get.
That's good.
So it's received pretty good reviews at home from the people which have managed to get it. So it's only a very small batch. It's a very limited release as such, because it's a special for the month. But
It's unorthodox.
I was talking to Murray, who's
Is his name actually Murray?
that's why it's called Murray's.
Okay.
Yeah. And he said that they actually want to bring their Belgian style, because they've got a few Belgian styles. They want to bring their Belgian styles to America.
This is a tasty beer. It's a lot better than, like when we were kind of talking about the beer ahead of time. I'm not a big fan of blending those kind of styles and bringing them all together. Like, I think Belgian Trippels and Saisons and the Blonde Ale, they're all like tried and true styles of beer.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like, not disrespectful, but like, oh, you really need to make sure you do it right if you're going to do that. And
I think they did it right.
yeah, it really does. I mean, it has such a nice blend of the spice with the typical sweet maltiness that you get off a triple versus the refreshingness of a blonde ale.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, rather than getting that hops bite, you're getting kind of like a spice bite instead of it.
It's got a good mouthfeel too. It's really soft and kind of creamy and just overall refreshing.
And I think it sits very well. And for me, what I say, it hides its alcohol at 7.5%.
Wow.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it's hiding that very well. Now,
Yeah.
just quickly, whilst I talk about 7.5%, as you probably know, our taxation laws at home are very different. So the moment you go north of 5%, you pay a lot more tax on that. So historically, brewers in Australia have really not gone past 5%. It's just started to happen a bit. So to have them brewing something at 7.5% that hides its alcohol like that is fantastic for us.
the next beer that we're going to go into is the Black Wattle Original Ale. And now, what's a wattle aside from a guy that is overweight and
walks
doesn't
funny.
walk right?
Or a penguin.
Or a penguin.
That would be a D, not a T. Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Waddle?
I don't know what how you Australians spell your words.
No, the black wattle. Okay, forget the word black for a second. The wattle is a tree, right? And I'm not horticulturist. So forgive me if I make a few mistakes with this. But for me, it's a tree that is basically the first tree to flower in spring. So it signifies the arriving of spring. You know, summer's coming in Australia. It's a golden flower, hence you'll see. Right?
The golden color?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The wattle flower it's bright yellow.
Right.
It's almost fluorescent yellow. So these guys are a Sydney brewery called Barron's, and they took the wattle seed from the tree and decided they're going to throw it in a beer. When they did that, that was just like so out of left field.
Yeah,
for
it's
us.
got a really, really unique flavor, and I'd be very interested to see what Bill would do with this on a master pairings.
I think that's a perfect beer
So
for
I
it.
think that's what we're going to go do right now.
Yeah.
We interrupt this episode of New Brew Thursday to bring you the following message. The episode of Master Pairings that you were about to see got canceled. Bill's going to text message me. I'm going to get an angry text message. Guaranteed. Show ran long, so we just decided we're going to have to cut it this week.
But I want a Master Pairings.
Sock puppet? Really?
Yeah.
No. Get the fuck out of here. So, no Master Pairings this week. Apologies. Master Pairings will be back where it belongs next week, and until then, stay safe and drink beer. We're going to move on to the next beer, which is called Mubu from Moorilla.
Yep. Which
Brewing
is
company.
Tasmania. This is what I would like to refer to as a sessionable dark ale. Right? In Australia, we don't tend to find the imperial stouts. Well, we really don't. We've got a couple that you guys have over here. So even though it says it's a dark ale, it's probably more of an American brown than anything.
Yeah.
And that's what they said that they've blended
It strikes
towards.
me as somewhere between an American brown and a higher ABV dark ale. Because I get some of the back end flavor profiles that I would get off of a darker, stronger beer.
Yeah.
But it does have that roastiness and that just slight caramelly flavor of a brown ale.
But see, I could sit on that all day. Right? I have no problem.
The bottle or the beer? Sorry.
Whilst doing both.
Right? He's like, do I have to make a choice?
I have to explain all these Australian colloquialisms, you know.
So you consider it a very sessionable.
Absolutely,
take it all
and
day
that's
beer.
that's where this sort of beer is in Australia. All right, even our darker ales than this, predominantly by the mainstream brewers, I should say, are not beers that are just going to wow you. You can sit there and drink one after the other and one after the other and one after the other and not have a problem.
What's the percentage on this?
I was trying to look for that.
25.2. That's what they consider sessionable in Australia.
Exactly.
Harden the f*** up, man.
It's 5%.
5%. Yeah.
Which there's that magical number.
Right.
So that's what I was talking about in
5%,
Australia before. That's the taxation rules side of things. So, look, I think for me, I like that beer. I can
It's a
just
very
sit there
tasty beer.
and just sit there and drink it and
yeah.
drink it and drink it.
If we had
I think
this,
they could have easily gone bigger with it, but they chose to keep it
And
sessionable.
they did go bigger with it.
Yeah.
They actually did, and they do a limited release of an imperial stout, but it's very, very small batch, very, very hard to get, which is also equally very nice as well.
Do you have anything that's like an 18% alcohol beer?
No,
No.
I think we just had like one that was released the other day, and I can't remember the name. That had waters from Antarctica, ice from Antarctica, and it might have been strong. And it was sold for the highest amount of any beer in the world.
I saw that. I don't
But
get that.
that was just a.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Over here we call that Pangea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So-
that's a valid point because I read all about that and it was retweeted and it sold for like
400, I think.
I don't know
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars and I'm just like, but I can get Pangea
For eight,
Dogfish
if
Head.
the only reason was
For
that it was
$8.
because of the Antarctic water.
And
Yeah,
but I
Pangea's
could be
been doing that for
wrong
years.
here. I think that was actually done for a charity thing.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Well, and I think that
Okay,
what
well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and and the other thing that I mentioned earlier that we talked about before is that I think that they completely brewed the beer with Antarctic water, versus what Pangea is, which contains Antarctic water.
Oh, you don't think it's all?
I don't think they do the entire brew with Antarctic water. And if I'm wrong,
What makes you
Mariah,
think that?
Sam, let me know. But
What makes you think that?
because it was ingredients from all over the world. It wasn't like
I think it's more of a hypothesis in Steve's head.
right. Like I'm imagining that I don't think that they had several hundred
So based off
gallons.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
pure speculation.
exactly.
So, yeah.
Based on the price that one cost $8.99 a bottle versus $400 a bottle.
Right.
That's what my thinking is on it. Is that there has to be some sort
But
of
if it was a charity deal,
basis
then,
there. Yeah.
then that would make total sense.
So
That's what I think. But in answer to your original question, no, we don't really have that higher alcohol percentage.
So you just throw like a shot of whiskey in there, or
Yeah, that's right. You know, just guzzle.
guzzle it.
Yeah. So, which probably is a good thing to lead us into the next one, actually, because this is a double, right?
It's a double hightail.
Now, the word double...
I like how they tell you how to pronounce it.
Yeah. Well,
You see that?
the reason for that is that the word... Because we hardly have any doubles at home.
Okay.
Right? This is a new thing.
Now, what do you mean when you say double? You mean double IPA?
Double.
Yeah, well, they're not. It's not really an IPA. Right?
Okay.
There's a lot of writing
So
on that bottle.
what? Yeah, I know. I'm just like, there's way too much for me to read here. This is just not gonna happen.
I kind of like that.
We're just talking
It's like,
amongst ourselves while Stephen reads
it's like
it.
they put the
classifieds
Yeah,
on the
like they
bottle?
put the newspaper on the front page of their bottle and just shipped it. So,
All right. What's that say?
it's an amber ale.
Bingo.
So it's a double amber.
Bingo.
I've never heard of a double amber before. This
So-
will be a new experience for me, 100%.
So this is the double hightail, and the reason they said it's a double because it's a limited, very much of a limited release. I think it was
233.
yeah, exactly cases. So that's nothing small, but it is a 500ml bottle, which is unique to the Australian market. As I was saying before, we don't have many of them out there.
Right.
There is a little bit, but it's good to see that they decided to go for what they call a rare beer and go large.
Well,
which is
and
good.
by double, this is an amber ale, and so it's just double what they would normally make for an
Yeah,
amber
they're
ale.
throwing other stuff into it.
Was there an original
Sorry,
high
double,
tide
yeah.
beer?
Hightail.
Hightail.
Yeah,
high tide.
that's the hightail is just your standard 330ml.
Okay, so
bottle?
this is actually double a certain recipe.
Bingo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like I
All
said,
right.
if you double the hops,
The only thing I
double
think-
the malt, you're going to raise the alcohol, which means you got to balance it with hops, and therefore
Right.
it's all.
Not 100% sure, but I might have read somewhere that they actually put Galaxy in this for the first time. I could
You
be
read it
wrong
right
here.
there on the
Okay.
bottle.
Did I?
Yeah.
But did it go in? I can't remember.
There's so
what-
much information on the bottle, you
Yeah.
might not absorb it all
Exactly.
as you're drinking the beer.
Oh,
There's like wanted list for some guy that wants somebody that's couple friendly. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
But well, these were all very phenomenal beers. I think that Australia is coming into their own for the craft beer scene, which is good to see because hopefully, that's going to start.
It's good to be a
its
part of
way.
it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay,
Be part of the
without
start.
without looking at each other or communicating, just on the count of 3, point to your favorite beer. All
Oh
right?
God,
Ready?
here it goes.
Ready for this?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
I have a short-term memory, so it has to be the last one.
Nice.
Which one?
all right, so
Stone and
me
Wood?
and
Stone and
Steve
Wood?
like the Stone and Wood,
Nice.
Yeah.
and you guys like
I-
the Mountain Goat.
I'd like the Mubu on the Mountain Goat. would
Yeah.
be mine.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
that-
the Mubu and those two right there are kind of like neck and neck for me. And then these two are probably in the same category.
Let's say these two for me, and this is a close
Yeah,
third.
so all of them were very phenomenal
Yeah.
examples of craft beer, and I'm really impressed with what Australia is doing with craft beer at this point. Because it is a long time in coming, so it's good to see that finally
Absolutely.
happening.
This is a good beer too. This is another one of my favorites that you brought. It's interesting.
It's just smooth.
Yeah.
It just kind of rolls off the tongue.
But as always, it's nice to have our mule.
Yes.
Mule's back in town.
The mule is back in town,
Absolutely.
and I literally have to like rinse my kidneys and my livers out for like a week before
He pulls
you
them
get
out
here.
of his body and rings them
I
out.
do. I just wring them out and get them ready for the arrival of Dave because
Absolutely.
I know it's going to be a non-stop drinking fest.
I have to pre-warn him, but
The
So
last time he was here, I ended the night with hugging people. So
yeah, and you know when John's hugging people, that he's gone.
that was the first for me that night too. But
what was it first?
no, that's all.
Oh, dude, we told him we'd never tell. We all agreed we'd never talk about that.
No, we'll leave it. We've already talked about that. We'll leave it alone.
On that note, we're gonna stay safe and drink beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Listen here, my friend. I'm telling you, I come from South Africa. We keep dropping our A's and talking like this.
Through my urethra, around the balls, into the microphone.